things that I found during the addiction recovery process is that I was very, very future focused. Like
Oh,
I would not allow myself to be in the moment. I was
right.
always thinking 5 steps down the road. Once this, and this happens, then I can be happy. Then I can be this, that, or whatever. And and I found myself this week really noticing that I'm I'm missing out on some of the joy of the moment because I've allowed myself to get a little bit too future focused.
Mm,
The fact is the things that are happening right now are only going to happen right now.
right.
The dynamics of the team, the dynamics of the growth, um, the my family life, the relationships that I have, all of these things are only going to happen right now.
Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
Well, good morning, sir. Good to see you.
What's going on, my brother?
Man, good things. It's been a good week, but which I got lots of stuff to talk about, of course. But what's up in your world, man?
Man, what's in my world? Let's just see. Uh, with the exception of family stuff that's always going on, just from a comedy, just really just kind of almost restructuring Jason Earl's comedy,
Yeah.
Jason Earl's productions, and making sure the right people are in the right place. What's amazing is I think it's important to always have this open dialogue and to communicate expectations. And so my wife and I had a conversation about some things were being undone by me
Mm.
and that fall on my plate, but I was expecting for my wife to help me with this
Ah.
stuff.
Ah.
And man, when we got down to it and had the conversation, and I was like, okay, like explain to me what is it like if you write the perfect playbook of what you would do, what would it be?
Ooh.
And dude, only what I had on my list, what I was kind of like hoping that she would say was not up there, brother. So while
Wow.
I was looking, hoping that she would come on and help me do this stuff, she was like, dude, I have zero desire to do that. In fact, if I did that, that'd take me from what I do best, you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
And I was like, why wasn't I? It's funny how we can do that with other people, but oftentimes take for granted the people who are close to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Ooh. Yeah.
and
Man.
I was like, sometimes you think you have a lesson down, but dude, you like, yeah, you realize not only are you not in the ballpark, you playing the
Yeah.
wrong game, bro. Like
Yeah.
you're in the
Oh
wrong
yeah.
stadium.
Man, so here's what I'm hearing. uh, First off, this novel concept of stress was starting to build up between you and your wife. And not only did you sit down to talk about it, but it sounds like you sat down to talk about it and look at it and view it from each other's perspectives. Like
Yeah,
you sat down and asked her, write up the perfect playbook. Like
right.
what that is you're trying to understand her perspective.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
wow, what a great place to start. And then
Dude.
you learned that you were way off.
Dude. Yeah, again, not only was I not in left field, dude, I was on a football field, forget baseball. And
Yeah,
man,
but
the greatest
man,
one of my greatest fears as a husband is that I would be self-indulge so
Mhm.
much that I'm not putting her before I put myself. I'm
Mm.
not loving her. There's this passage that talks about humility and how Christ didn't count it, like this. He didn't count uh like being God this thing to grasp,
Mm.
but I'm trying to explain it in just the most simplest terms, but man, but he emptied himself and he
Yeah.
he 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 displayed humility in the greatest way. And then the dude who wrote this letter, when he was talking about it, he was like, man, do nothing out of out of your own pride, but with
Mhm.
humility of mind, regard one another as more important to yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
man, and just this idea, I'm not a narcissist, uh, but man, if I can look at sometimes as a husband, I'm like, it might be a little
Yeah.
bit of narciss, like there might be like one or two tendencies that emulate. And I'm like, that is fear, like that's disgusting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Well,
idea
but
of
here's the deal. Here's the deal. Like you said this. You said, it's often easier to neglect the ones that are closest to us. It's much easier to do that than neglect the people that are at arm's length.
right,
But but I would take that even a step further and say it's easy for us to neglect ourselves.
mm,
And the ones that are closest to us. I mean, a husband and a wife, become a unit, become one being, become the other half of each other.
yeah,
And so yeah, it's easy to, um, I guess, put too much of ourselves onto them and just assume that that that's okay. That's
yeah, that's good, man. That's so good. I speaking of selfless, I wanted to do this, and I I want to read something
yeah.
about a selfless person,
All right.
if I can. I saw this on Facebook, and I was like, you know what? I need to make sure I read this. So this was a post that I just randomly saw by a guy named of Mike Wendeling. I think that's his
Oh yeah.
name.
Yeah.
He says, just finished the podcast. Thank you for recognizing all those who help you keep this place running, as well as all the folks visiting and making the soapstone so successful. I would like to recognize you as well, Aaron, unemployed alcoholic. Without your vision, dedication, and spirit of fun, this place would not exist to allow those people to experience their first time on stage. The amount of new friends and relationships you have created is staggering. Thank you for all you do. So man, I just wanted to shout you out, man, just because it's real easy for us and trying to be selfless, which you consistently display in humility and kindness towards people. It's easy oftentimes for us just to take that stuff for granted. So I saw that randomly on my phone. I was like, I need to make sure I read this so people listening who may not be in the metaverse or who may not be on the Team Soapstone Facebook group and this Team Soapstone Facebook group will hear what other people saying about you, my friend.
Man, that's so powerful to hear. I read that comment. I read that comment.
Yeah,
But there is something different about hearing it read aloud that was incredibly moving. Like
yeah,
that, like, I mean, I got goosebumps. I'm a little Like
Yeah, your voice is
I'm a
cracking a
little
little bit.
too tough for it, but I mean, I could well up. Like if he had another paragraph in there, I might be bawling,
Right.
But um, the power of someone's voice saying something affirming that's important to you. That was really powerful. And thank you for reading that. And Mike, that's my dude right there, Wyatt Burp. Thank
Yeah.
you for that comment, sir. That means a lot, and especially in this week, because this week, like we had a major milestone at at the soapstone. No pun intended. We hit a major soapstone milestone. We officially crossed the threshold where we have had 50,000 people that have come into the soapstone and experienced it. And
Woo-woo.
that,
That's awesome,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to applause.
Yeah. Bow, bow, bow. Yeah. Oh man, it's that's a huge milestone. I mean, because I remember when it was like, ooh, how are we going to get up to 50 people? You know,
Wow.
and then hitting 500 people. It was like 500 people have come in
Yeah,
here. This is amazing. And I mean, we've 100x'd it, 1000x'd it, and um, but
wow.
it's easy to get distracted by that. It's
Yeah,
easy to, because it's not about that. It's not about
right.
the numbers. But hitting that milestone is a good chance to really reflect. And I mean, it really allowed me to kind of look at, okay, what are we doing here? And that email that you just read encapsulates what we're doing here. I mean, we are empowering leaders,
Absolutely.
and Wyatt or Mike is a phenomenal example of that. This dude, like he had never stepped on a stage before, and
Wow.
and one time at the soapstone he got up and he stepped into the hosting role, and this dude is the most engaged. This guy is the guy that just grasps what's going on, and he's so selfless. This past week he's been on vacation in Florida. I had to tell him, dude, take a vacation. like he
Right.
literally, the day he got into Florida, um, he's at his hotel and he logs in to do the headliner show. you know like I mean,
Wow.
this is like he is engaged, and he just gets it, and it's about other people, and it's about sharing that stage, it's about building those relationships. But I mean, again, like seeing him, hearing those words from him remind me of the things that we're doing. We're empowering leaders, we are encouraging people towards the spotlight,
Yeah,
and of course, we're through this podcast and so many other uh, avenues, we're sharing what we're learning, and
right.
that's the real milestones. Those are the things that we're really accomplishing as we hit this firework inducing 50,000 number, which is awesome. Cool. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And dude, I just want to underscore what two things. One, man, just the importance of as you read the comment, but then I came back and I read it out loud to you. Just underscore the importance of, man, consistently encouraging and affirming other human beings.
Yeah.
That stuff goes a long way. Again, I think that's part of why you and I created just this opportunity, just to consistently talk, just from encouraging one another and me encouraging you. And so, anybody's listening, it's like, man, I hope we grasp the concept of making sure we encourage other people. Like, what if the world, we intentionally, authentically encourage other people? Like, if you when you see
Yeah.
people do that, you're like, yeah, I need to make sure I do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to make
And
sure
say
I
it out
affirm.
loud. Say it out
Absolutely.
loud. Yeah,
Affirm my
say it
parents.
out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, affirm my wife, affirm my children, like, and give them
Yeah.
a word, like look at them in their eyes
Yeah.
and just give them just a 2 sentence, 3 sentence encouragement of what you see, the positive stuff that they do, and the great.
And if it's appropriate to do so, like a wife or a close relationship, a hand on the shoulder, eye contact, and a verbal affirmation. Wow,
Yeah,
that is worth its weight in gold. I mean, that is powerful stuff. That trifecta combination of touch, audible, and connection in the
right.
eyes. Uh, that's that's gold, silver, and bronze all together.
So good, brother. And second thing, dude, just your ability to take it in, but yet stay focused. It's like, I admire seeing the coaches when like some type of milestone is made in the middle of a game, or athletes like they hit a milestone and they celebrate. They're like, all right, yo, let's keep locking in. Let's
Yeah,
keep,
yeah,
the
yeah,
coach like, okay, yeah, that's good, but hey, let's stay focused here. And that's what I see you doing. Like, hey man, that encourage, 50,000 is good, but let's stay focused
yeah.
on what we got going on here. That's awesome, dude.
It's funny that you say that, because one of the things that's been kind of on my mind is I may be slipping too far to the other direction there. Like, I mean, one of the things that I found during the addiction recovery process is that I was very, very future focused. Like,
Oh,
I would not allow myself to be in the moment. I was
right.
always thinking 5 steps down the road. Once this, and this happens, then I can be happy. Then I can be this, that, or whatever. And and I found myself this week really noticing that I'm I'm missing out on some of the joy of the moment because I've allowed myself to get a little bit too future focused.
Mm,
The fact is, the things that are happening right now are only going to happen right now.
right.
The dynamics of the team, the dynamics of the growth, um, my family life, the relationships that I have, all of these things are only going to happen right now. And
Hmm.
I do need to think ahead, but I almost need to think ahead from the perspective of how can I just get out of the way
Yeah.
and enjoy the moment. That's I've had a couple of moments this week. You were there for one of them. Where I was able to just kind of come into the soapstone and just kind of laugh with people and hang out. One of
Yeah.
the times I came in and jumped up on stage and did a set, and like it, like a couple people in there like knew who I was, because when I got off stage, people were like, "Hey, that's the world owner or whatever." But it didn't feel like it when I was on stage, because I got to tell you, it
Right.
was more in the bombing category than the crushing category. But it was good. Like I was okay with that. Like I liked coming in and having some brand new jokes that I haven't told on stage, and just getting up and bombing a little
Right.
bit.
That's good, bro.
Yeah, and then that day that you came in, there was a lot happening because there was a show getting started and there were people coming along. But even in the midst of all that, it took a minute to get settled. But even in the midst of all that, we got settled at the booth and just were able to laugh together for a minute. And it
Yeah,
was
that
cool.
dude, that was so cool, man. That was really. It felt like we were at a real club. Like, yo, it's good hanging out with y'all, but this is my guy. We're gonna go over here by ourselves and talk.
Yeah.
To that one little
Yeah.
kid he kept.
Yeah, we had to do a quick tutorial on how to throw a thumbs up and throw confetti and
Yeah, this person, you could always tell it's a kid because the kid just comes and doesn't say anything. He was looking, try to do the thumbs up. I was like,
yeah,
and he was looking at air like, help me, help me.
yeah. So last night we did our first improv night at the club, and Chris Nixa hosted that, and he did a great job with it. But one of the topics that came up for improv was, you know, um, be a kid and say you're not a kid in the soapstone, because we get a lot of kids that come in and pretend they aren't kids. Oh,
Right.
and it was a blast to hear people like mimic the kid movements, and the grand finale of it all is somebody grabbed the broom and started hitting it in people's faces and stuff. Oh man.
That is
It
the
was
most
great.
irritating thing. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another funny thing about the metaverse, man. It's you've got kids in there that basically are at a social level, not in terms of intellect, but just in availability
Yeah.
of an adult.
Yeah.
And so a person to come up to you and you like, hey, or they'll speak to you, hey, and they'll just start talking on this little kid level. You like, okay,
Right. Right.
good to meet you. And then they follow you around like, hey, I'm like, dude,
Right.
leave me
Right.
alone, please. Like,
Yeah. Right. Which I mean, a quick warning to the parents out there that are logging in under their Facebook account and then handing the headset off to the kids. Um, it, it's not a good idea. It's it's not a good idea.
listen, I went to Horizon venues just because I wanted to experience a basketball game, a sports event.
Uh-huh.
And there was a little kid in there that was super social, had to be about 7 or 8,
Hmm.
and just talking. And it was uncomfortable because the little kid kept getting in my face, the
Yeah.
avatar. And I was like, hey, hey. And then, man, a person came, it was a man avatar, and whose hand was stretched, was looking at the little kid, like, and motioning him. I was like, this can't
Yeah.
be good, man.
Right. Right.
This
It's
this can't be good.
yeah. It's
So yeah, heed the warning, parents. Jeez.
yeah. Yeah. And Horizon and Meta, they're doing what they can and they're providing tools. But the fact is, like, there's still this disconnect where there's people that are in there that think that things aren't real, that it's just all pretend. But the fact is, when we or our kids have the headset on, we're getting the visual stimulus, the audio stimulus, the three-dimensional immersion scenario. It is real. And
Nope.
if there's people that come in and say garbage to a kid, that kid's going to experience it, and it's just not a good idea.
Yeah. And one thing I found out about just came back to me being in the metaverse this week was I'm more of an introvert than what I actually communicate myself to be. When I was in Soulstone, and what everybody's got to know is Aaron Searles is it, how do I always say your last name two ways? I either say Sorrell or Searles.
Sorrels is how I pronounce it, but I might be wrong.
That's hysterical. Yeah. So everybody, Aaron Searles is a superstar in the metaverse. I come in, and if Aaron's in the metaverse and T Soulstone, whether outside or inside, I can't get to him. It's so funny. I'll see Aaron and I'll hear him, and I'm like, I'm gonna just stand right here. I can't I can't talk to you because, man, so many people. And here's the thing: when you have something of value, people want, and people want to be close to you because they understand that you have insight on the metaverse. There's this excitement just about you being the guy. If if this was a real life club, Aaron would need bodyguards. So I just gotta stand back. And the other night, I was like, "What's up, Aaron?" He's like, "Hey, I know that voice."
Yeah. Yep.
That was
Yep.
funny, right? I couldn't get to you. I like, man, it was
Right.
funny. And
Yeah.
what was
That's
funny is, go ahead.
no, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what's funny is, I'm like, he can have all that. I don't want any of that. I'm glad that's not me. And I just sit back like, whoo, more
Well,
power to you, Aaron.
it's that does happen, and it's very strange because I desire relationship and genuine interaction, um, but it's hard because when it gets like a flurry of people, it's very hard to genuinely connect with anybody.
Yeah, and you
So
get
it's
uncomfortable.
I do like if there's Like it's like, oh, yeah. Like
Yeah,
that's part of why we have the fire pit out there. Like if I'm in there and it gets like, I mean, honestly, it'll get anxiety inducing because
yeah,
like what keeps me going is a genuine connection with somebody. But when it's a flurry and it's not a genuine connection, like my anxiety will start going through the roof. And and it's really good that I've got a little place where I can go escape and kind of breathe a little bit.
right.
And it's important, like to be able to interact with people, and I love it. And it's a huge um, it's an honor, it's a compliment that people want to connect with me. But man, there's something that's traded for it, you know,
Yeah,
to have a deeper connection with fewer people. um, I enjoy that more than a shallower connection with many people.
right. So, dude, explain this to me, man, because you said something very key. Like, just one, you being in tone with the emotions of like, yo, this is like my anxiety is running a little bit high right now. And going out to the fire pit. Like, what does that look like in outside of the metaverse? Because I'm quite sure that there are certain things that whether it's somebody who has a presentation, somebody who has to give a speech. I have a friend
Mhm.
who works from one of the top Fortune 500 companies, and he had to give a presentation to all of the supervisors above him, and he
Mm.
called me sweating bullets
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because he's an amazing engineer, and he's like, dude, I just I'm nervous, and I'm
yeah,
putting together this presentation. So how do you like what advice would you give to somebody who's in their line of work? It could be what like when it comes to putting together taxes, it could be, when it comes to having a difficult conversation with the spouse or with the
yeah,
relationship, or it could be
yeah.
just dealing with some financial stuff. What would you say to those
Well,
individuals?
so what I would say, by the way, that's the scenario that you just laid out. Somebody giving a presentation to like the uppity ups and that, like that's a big deal.
It
And
is.
anxiety is a natural response for our system, and it's a good and valuable response.
Hmm.
Like if we're standing in the middle of the road and there's a bus coming at us, we should start to feel a little bit anxious. You know, we should perceive a threat,
Right.
and that feeling should prompt us to take action. You know, the fact is, giving a presentation like that, there's risk involved, and it's okay to have that feeling of anxiety. It's a natural response. It's a valuable response because
Yeah.
that's your body recognizing risk. Where it gets to be a problem for me and for to tell you the truth, a very high percentage of people, where it gets to be a problem is where our body is recognizing a threat and a risk when there is no threat or risk.
Hmm.
You know, when our system is saying danger, 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 and there is no danger,
Right.
that's when it gets to be a problem. And there's things that I'll do because, like, if I'm in a grocery store and like I don't have an exact plan of action and list of things that I have to do. Like if Renee and I are in a grocery store together and she's got the shopping list and I'm just donking around like 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 a third wheel, you know, or whatever, uh, like that will send my anxiety through the roof. Like
Yeah.
I will feel like people are staring at me. I will feel um, like I'm in danger. The lights, the way that I perceive the lights in the store will change,
Hmm.
and it'll be more intense, and you know, and it's tough to deal with a little bit.
Yeah.
But and there is no risk there. There's no problem with that situation. It's just I'm perceiving a problem.
Right.
And you know, there's lots of things that I can do when that happens. You know, I can leave. I can wait in the car. You know, I can remove myself from the situation and then get myself in a point where I can I guess kind of talk myself down a little bit and breathe a little bit and that, and then get amped back up and ready to go tackle the grocery store again.
Yeah.
Does that make sense
Yeah,
there?
it does, man. It's funny because you know, people always make up acronyms for words like, fear means false evidence appearing real.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
you know, I can't stand when people make up acronyms, but that's the one that I'm like, you got to point to that one. It's like
That's right.
because
Yeah,
that's because there's this when when a threat is actually unreal, but it feels like it's real. It appears that it's real. Like that's when our fears creep up, and
yeah,
that's when we start to believe lies. That's very dangerous because then when we believe lies, we make decisions based off of lies, and that
yep,
is a deceitful decision.
yep,
Um, yeah, so that's how many times have I not done a project or not told a joke on stage because of a fear, a danger that I perceived was real, but it actually wasn't. And how many people missed out on what I could be presented.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah, and it goes even further than that, like the physiological damage to ourselves. When we visualize through a bad scenario, when we think that through, like when you got that joke and you're thinking about telling it on stage, and you picture it going poorly,
uh-huh.
and the whole crowd turning on you and taking off their Jason Earls hats and throwing them on the ground, like just like when you picture that happening, physiologically, your body responds as if it's happening. So the wear and tear on your own psyche and on your own physical condition, that still happens
Yeah,
when you visualize it happening as if it would really happen. And that's tough because, like, it's easy to get locked in that fear mindset or
right,
that negative outcome mindset. And when we get locked into that, like, over and over and over, we'll play that situation out. So it's like
right.
that hat gets stomped on 100 times in a row. And
Yeah.
man.
That's so good, man. I got a friend, Lewis Tucker, who says there's no organ in your body that processes stress.
Hmm. Hmm.
You got a stomach that processes food.
Hmm.
Your sight processes visual image. Your ears process, sounds. Audible sounds. That's hysterical. Uh, audible things, noise. But there's nothing in your body to process stress like that.
Yeah,
So that's stress is not meant for. I mean, it shows up, but you got to get rid of that stuff, man. You got to,
right. And you
think
can't
through it.
you can't because there's no organ that processes it. You can't directly perceive it. You gotta look for other signs, like
Yeah,
in my shoulders. Like I can feel them tense up, and then if I just take a minute and like breathe and kind of relax those shoulders a little bit, and like focus on them and just release that tension,
yeah,
like like you have to perceive it and deal with it indirectly, because there isn't, you can't just you know fire up the stress relief muscle.
yeah. I love my watch indicates when I need to just take a moment to breathe
Oh, nice,
and
nice.
just like just take a minute and it directs you like breathe in,
Yep.
breathe out. Breathe in, and then now if it's added a feature where it tells you to reflect on just some positive things, and that's my mind. Just take some time out to pray.
Mm.
But one thing I've taught my daughter this because my daughter deals with this a lot, and something I learned. I was like, you know what? You can come up with 18 different scenarios of how you're gonna fail or how this thing is bad, and it's not true. So if your imagination is gonna
Yeah.
play with you, just imagine that it's positive.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna
Right.
go in here and I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell this joke, and they gonna laugh so hard they gonna vomit, and then they're like,
Yeah.
ah! They're like,
Right.
give me 5 more hats.
Yeah. Well, and again, it works the same in that scenario. Like physiologically, your body and your psyche will respond as if that is happening. If
Yeah,
you visualize that happening, physiologically, it's as if that's happening. So if you can visualize that joke crushing 50 times, and then you get up and let's say it does fall flat. So what? That's one out
right,
of 50. Like
right.
you're fine.
And the way that your brain works, your brain's gonna be like, wait a minute, I'm processing this data. This is not what happens. I got the data here. I tell that joke. Everybody's supposed to be
That's
laughing.
right.
I'm supposed to feel a certain way. So let me get the
That's
joke
right.
right.
And
Why am I
you can
frozen?
look at the audience and try to
Uh-oh.
figure out what's wrong with them, why they're missing it. I don't,
No doubt.
yeah, we're
I was
freezing up a
frozen for a
little bit.
second. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
All
It's the
right.
Russians, man.
It's the Russians. Oh no.
I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Russian friends and my Ukrainian friends. It's it's what, like, I know everybody's like, man, pray for the Ukrainians, pray for Ukraine's the Ukrainians, Ukraine. I'm like, yo, what about the Russian people who don't want to be in war? Like, like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
just forget about them, huh? It's some people who like, dang, here goes Putin again, but
Yeah.
ain't nobody praying for
Yeah.
me. That's just
Yeah,
funny.
that's tough. I mean, it's easy for us, especially when it comes to an enemy. It's
Yeah,
easy for us to nationalize and take everybody that's associated with that and lump them together. I mean,
absolutely.
that's how racism works, and you know that's how all of that works. Is when we take an entire group of people and lump them together, and make pass judgments on all of them.
Yep. I was at a huge event in San Antonio doing comedy, and they're like, man, let's in the pre-production meeting. They're like, yeah, we're gonna bring some. We got a group of people from the Ukraine who made it here for this event, and we're gonna bring them on stage and pray with them. Then somebody's like, we got some Russians too who are here too, as well.
Oh
And
wow!
they're like, yeah, that's we're gonna bring them on stage as well, and just kind of talk about unity in the midst of it, which was so cool.
Phenomenal! Like that's so huge.
Yeah,
Oh, that's exciting to hear about. Like, because yeah, it's yeah, bringing the people together to pray over them that are you know um, enemies,
right.
even though they themselves aren't. With what's happening in the world. Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah, because if you've ever tried, when I've traveled overseas, and there are certain things being American, there's certain exciting things people have about it. It's like, when I went to Africa, they were excited that I would walk through the village, a packed village. Of course, as an American, people saying they're like, "Hey, Obama, Obama!" They're excited, you
Yeah.
know. But then you go to you go somewhere else, and they're gonna focus on the negative part. Like you go to some Middle Eastern place, they're like, "Ah,
Yeah.
USA." And you're like, wait, brother, I'm here. I'm here to love on y'all, man. Relax, calm yourself down, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at him. Hatred. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you this, these conversations again are so valuable. And actually, since we've started these conversations, I've had a couple other opportunities that have come up to connect on a regular basis with people. In fact, Pete Brand, he's a friend of mine from the Grand Rapids area. He owns a company called Mindscape. They're a marketing company, and he started this little group of folks. I can't tell you what the group is called because it's kind of in the sandbox right now,
Yeah.
and it'll come out publicly at some point. But he's gathered this group of folks together. One's an Olympic athlete, and a couple are entrepreneurs, and then one's an unemployed alcoholic, and we just get together and are having these conversations, and it's so cool. And then more like Horizon World specific, man, this guy Oculus 410, um, you know, the the conversations that I've been having with him on almost a daily basis, we'll just connect and just kind of talk stuff through. This guy has a heart for community. This guy has a heart for building people up, and it's amazing to see. Like the things that he does to give back are incredible, and just to have the opportunity to talk with him about where we're at and what's going on, I feel like it's so cool. So what are some of the other opportunities that you have, or the other dynamic relationships that you have, where you can breathe into each other like we're doing here?
Man, so man, I started doing a this, and I mentioned this last time, this morning show on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Clubhouse platform with a comedian by the name of Akintunde. We met at a conference, and I've always been of this mindset that, man, collaboration is so necessary for the success in any industry.
Yeah.
Uh and so and I've always had this. One thing that's bothered me about, in particular, our network of comedians that you and I are part of the same conference. A lot of great people. We all do some great things individually, but very few of us do things collectively.
Mm,
And I'm like, man, if we put our efforts together for, like, let's just pick a project and do it, what would happen? Uh and so I was at another conference, and this comedian by the name of Akintunde got up and he started speaking about, man, how come, man, there's no movie. All of us claim to be comedian excel, and some of us have reached that, but none of us have a movie out.
mm,
Why is that? Now there's one or two now have movies. How come we've never put together, like, okay, you're a good script writer. Okay, you're a good
yeah.
producer. Won't we put our efforts together? And no one trying to get necessarily getting financial gain isn't the ultimate goal, but making the impact and using our craft uh, and 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 just flourishing in that is the main objective. And I was like, nobody else has said this. I've said the same thing. So I contacted
Mhm.
him and said, hey, I saw that he promoted, hey, I'm about to do a morning show. And I called him up and I said, man, how can I help you? I don't want anything
Cool.
back from you. I just want to help your morning show be successful. And so I started doing, I jumped on the morning show with him. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we jump in Clubhouse and we're doing this
Yeah.
show, which is a lot of fun. And so because I'm there, he can drive the ship a little bit better, knowing that he doesn't always have to carry the comedy load.
Yeah.
So I can, as another comedian, I can carry the comedy load and I can set him up and talk. But then the other week on the show, they were talking about the metaverse.
Really?
Yeah, and they're like, man, is it good? Is it bad? But this was when I was in studio recording a TV show. So I couldn't necessarily show up on that one, but he does a recap in the evening. And I jumped on that. I was dog tired and I was like, I
Yeah.
need to go to bed. But I talked to him on the way. I'm like, man, here's what you need to make sure you talk about. And I started talking about us. And dude, he was
Yeah.
blown away. He was like, y'all, I did not know that Jason and another comedian, Aaron, has a podcast talking about the metaverse. And just started talking about, some of the data that you've gathered, the stats on that, and just what we've seen and how it's worked. Dude, what blows me away is how foreign the concept and the culture of the soapstone is, or how much it stands out and separated from everybody else.
Yeah. Well, man, that collaboration that you're talking about with him, that's where that comes from. We're breathing into each other, helping each other carry the load,
Yeah,
and coming together. That's awesome. And you touched on the culture in the soapstone and how that's different. It's not different from everything. Like there's another world that has become very, very popular, and it's well deserved. It's called Metacourt. Where people will come in
yes,
and air their grievances towards
yeah,
each other, and they've got judges and attorneys, and it's awesome. And the guy who's developing that and developed it, like I've had the opportunity to connect with him a couple times, and like I'm just so inspired and impressed with the culture that he's building in
yeah,
there, because it's all the same fundamentals that we're shooting for in the soapstone, and it's just cool to see other people find success and find growth and all that, and have some of the common foundational things. It's awesome, and we're not collaborating on anything. We're not working together. But it's just awesome to see him succeed with it.
yeah. It's like, you watch professional athletes, in particular, I'm watching March Madness, and there's the end of the game is probably one of the greatest parts of watching the tournament, because here you got these guys who lose, but a lot of them are genuinely, giving some gracious salutations to the winner, like, man, go get them, like, yo, y'all great, y'all beat us, much respect, like, go get it. I'm a fan of the game, and I want to see some great games, so give it all you got. And not even from a competitive standpoint, but just being a fan of the game and want to see other people's succeed, and see the actual craft succeed. They cheer for each other. That stuff
Yeah,
is so good, man. Hearing other coaches just encourage each other. That stuff is so good. And that same thing you're doing here. Like, even though we're not collaborating, we might not be on the same necessarily team. We're in the same industry, and
yeah.
I'm cheering for you. I want to see you successful. That's so good.
And that basketball player that can, pour his heart out and compete and want to win, but then at the end of it can congratulate someone who beat them and wish them the best for continued success. That person's going to walk away happy. So
Yeah.
they're also going to be happy if they win.
Right.
So that's the proverbial win-win situation. And the flip side of that, though, is the people that don't have it in them to congratulate someone who beats them. Even when they win, they're going to walk away incomplete,
Yeah.
because it's always going to be the next thing. It's it's never going to be good enough if what we're doing isn't good enough.
That's why the greatest person with character in this aspect is the boxer, or UFC or MMA fighter. Dude, I don't see how they do that. You just whip my behind and I'm gonna hug you, say good fight, bro. I can't.
That's yeah, that I've seen that, and it looks like it hurts. Like,
Dude, the humility that would take. You just beat me to the point I said, please stop. I cry, uncle, stop. I tap out.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, that was so good. Like, my kids just watched me get my tail whipped.
Yeah.
I can't
Yep.
even demand that they clean their room now. They like, you ain't say that to what's the Crusher Khrushchev when he beat you. Tell Crusher
Yeah.
Khrushchev
Well,
to clean his room.
yeah, man, it is amazing to see, like if they can do it, like you said, like if they can get their tail whooped in front of their friends, their fans, their family, and then give the opponent a hug and be like, "Wow, good fight."
Right.
Like that's
That's amazing. I'll get you next time, Gadget. That's what I'll be saying. So, dude, I'm
Was
really.
was that a Inspector Gadget quote?
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Dude, I love.
Was that Claw?
Yeah, that was Claw. Did they ever show Claw's face? Nevertheless,
I don't think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So, dude, I'm very interested about this. I'm intrigued now about this collaboration with the soapbox, with sandbox thing. You can't necessarily name.
Yeah,
But dude,
yeah.
that's exciting, man.
Oh, dude, it's cool. It's cool. It's this guy, like he's a marketing guru. He knows marketing, and he's gotten into actually he's been really studying out Simon Sinek.
Mm,
And he's the the start with why
yeah,
guy. And so he's really dug into that, and he's gathered together these entrepreneurs and really wanted to drive home the lesson of the best way to be a successful entrepreneur is basically to get out of the way. It's
wow,
it's much more important to enjoy the journey and all this stuff. Like it's to tell you the truth, it's right up my alley. I dig
yeah.
it. So yeah, that's super cool. Pete is listening to the podcast too. He'll probably hear this at some point a couple weeks down the road. And so shout out to you, Pete.
What's
Appreciate you,
up,
man.
Pete?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool little group. And again, there's a lot of these things that are kind of happening. You and I talked a little bit about one that's getting started in the metaverse. Actually, Oculus 410. He's the one that's kind of starting that up. And there's a handful of people. That's been interesting too, because there's been some people that have responded, I'm 100% in, I'm on board. Let's do this thing. Let's promote solid leadership and networking within the metaverse.
Right.
And then there's other people that are like, all right, I'll do it, but this, and this are my stipulations. And he and I earlier this week were talking, and I said, man, some things should be easy. And I really think that the beginnings of working with somebody should be very easy.
Yeah.
Some parts of it can be hard, but in general, like getting on the same page and building excitement, that
Right.
piece of it should be easy. And if it's not easy, then there's something wrong. It's not the right fit.
that not only is that professional development, corporate advice, that's also relationship advice, people.
There you go.
Like,
There you go.
listen,
Yeah.
when you first start dating somebody, if that thing is difficult, run.
That's because you're only seeing the tip of the
Right.
iceberg.
Right. Y'all had to go to counseling on your second date, and y'all decided to get married a year later. Like,
Right. Yeah. And in reality, that's far more important than any business dealings. But yeah, if there's an attraction on some levels, but it isn't easy to be together, if it isn't easy to laugh together, boy, that ain't the right fit.
run.
Yeah, run.
Right.
This is easy. The
really is.
dynamics. Yeah. Oh,
It really is.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not marrying you though, bro. Just
Like I've been wasting my time. I really feel like you've led me on, Jason. I thought we had something.
That's hysterical. That is funny.
No, I felt like you were pretty committed when you said the whole 6 kids thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think she might be the one, dude. I think she might be the one.
Yeah. And at the same time, my wonderful wife, Renee, which actually the way you started this was talking about you talking to your wife and her saying, I don't want to do that at all. Like as soon as you said that, I pictured conversations that I've had with my wife. Because here's a little secret. She's far funnier than I am. Like she's got it. Like she is quick, and most of my best jokes have been written by her. But I'm like, man, we got to get you up on stage sometime. And she's like, absolutely not.
That's hysterical. Has she been to the Soapstone? Does she hang out there?
She has that actually, much like me in the grocery store. if her and I are together and there's a lot of hubbub and stuff around me, like she feels a little bit out of place, you
Yeah.
know. So she's been there, but it'll never be like where she's hanging out. You know,
Right.
it's just um, it's uncomfortable and awkward for her to be, you know, like she knows she's funnier than me. You
Right.
know?
You're like, this guy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but she's been in there, and she understands it and knows what's going on. I talk to her about it all the
Yeah,
time. You know.
that's so good.
Yeah,
Cool.
I did take her on a little metaverse date the other day, which was super cool. We went into the metaverse, and the first thing we did is went to this Hawaii spot. Oahu at night is what the name of the world was, and it's this beautiful little Hawaiian style house on the ocean, and you've got little motorcycles that you can take on a ride around the island where you go past a volcano and all this stuff. And so we went from there. Then we went to a world called Aladdin, which is, you know, it starts off in Agaba or whatever the name of it is, the town, and you got to go through and find the things and put them together, and then you go to the Cave of Wonders, and you got to go find the lamp, and you jump on the. I like it's slick, it's cool, and she loves Aladdin, so it was a cool little date. We went from there, and then she likes the movie Stranger Things, or the TV show Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So we went to a Stranger Things world. It was just a nice
That is so
opportunity.
cool, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That is so cool. Date night in the metaverse, a meta date.
yeah.
So
And
cool.
then we did have to end up in the soapstone just so she can see that I'm a baller. And
Right. Absolutely. Like, yo, don't forget who you with.
Oh man.
That's
Oh
cool.
yeah. So this is cool, man. I'm so excited about where this thing is going. You know, it's interesting because you know this podcast that we're doing, as I would kind of expect, it doesn't have a lot of plays as of yet, but it's awfully focused. You
Yeah,
know, like
absolutely.
it's awfully niche focused. And but I'll tell you, on a very regular basis, I'll end up talking to somebody, and they'll reference something specific from the podcast.
Wow.
And so the people that are listening to this are listening and engaging and getting incredible value from it. So thank you guys for being the hardcore ones that not only listen to it but listen to it till the end right
Yeah,
here. And
right. Woohoo.
well, yeah,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you.
Absolutely. And feel free to join, even if you don't have an Oculus. Feel free to join the Team Soapstone Facebook page.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, scratch that. No, to
Oh,
join the team Stone, you gotta have like,
oh, my
yeah,
bad.
yeah. I mean,
What's that?
we like
Oh,
you and everything, but
see that you can be zealous without knowledge. That's what I need to point out.
oh man. On that note, dude, I appreciate you so much, Jason. This is just such life-giving, encouraging time that we spend together. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for always having me, brother.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.